guys, it's Miss Simpson, and it is time for reading today, and we are talking about theme today. So, what do you remember about theme? I want you to go find your sibling, go find your parent, or just talk to yourself alone in your room, talk to your dog, your turtle, or your fish, and tell them what you remember about theme real quick. Okay, so you should be done by now. You should have told them, what I remember about theme is. Well, remember, theme is what the author hopes the reader learns at the end of a book, a story, a poem, in fact. Poems are one of the hardest things to find the theme in because a lot of times when we read poetry, we have no clue what it's talking about. We're like, what is it even saying? In books, we typically know what's going on. And so therefore, we know what the theme is most of the time, like doing the right thing or being brave, courageous, or slow and steady wins the race, or perseverance, never give up, doing the right thing. I think I already said that one. Kindness, compassion, love, friendship. We know because we know what the book says, but poetry is a little bit more difficult. So when you think of theme in anything, I want you to think of a cream filling in a cupcake. So when you look at a cupcake, you can't tell from the outside if it has a cream filling. Same thing as a jelly donut. If you were to look at a donut and it had jelly in it, or a cupcake and had cream in the middle, you would have no idea because you're just looking at the outside. Well, the cream or the jelly is the hidden message. It's the hidden theme inside of a book or a poem. So just like our cream filling and our donut jelly is hidden inside our donut and our cupcake, themes are hidden inside of books and poems and passages. So it's not going to be directly in there. It's not going to say the theme is and tell you the answer. It's going to make you think of all the things that you have read in that poem, in that passage, and try to connect the dots. So this is a strategy we learned a while back, and you're going to have to use the synthesizing to determine that. All that means is you think of what happened from the very start and think, what did the main character learn? What did they want us to realize and get from this poem or this book? But before you can do that, you have to know what the poem is talking about. So I'm going to give you some famous examples that you probably have heard about. Little Red Riding Hood. Raise your hand if you have ever heard of Little Red Riding Hood. Okay, so Little Red Riding Hood has a theme, and it is appearances can be deceiving at times. Because remember, the wolf dressed up as her grandma, and she did not know that that was her grandma. Well, that is showing us that appearances can be deceiving sometimes. Deceiving means it's kind of throwing you off. You don't know it's a lie. You don't know that that is not the grandma. The Three Little Pigs, hard work and patient pays off in the end. The Little Red Hen, laziness can have negative consequences. So those are just some famous examples of things that you've probably seen before. But I want to try and find a theme together in a poem that I found. And the poem is called The Voice, and it is by Shel Silverstein. And I'm sure that you've heard of Shel Silverstein because he wrote The Giving Tree. And a lot of my kids last year loved the book, The Giving Tree. So give me 1 second and we will read the poem together. All right, I'm back. So I just had to get my document camera turned on. No big deal. So we are going to read the poem, and we're going to find the message in poetry or in this poem. Notice if I look at the message, I also see theme. Theme is the same as the message or the lesson that the character or either the character learns, that's like a book. In a poem, it's what the poet wants you to learn. So you're going to read this and you're going to think about, what did I learn from that? First, we've got to figure out what in the world this poem is talking about. So let's read this. The Voice by Shel Silverstein. There is a voice inside of you that whispers all day long. I feel that this is right for me. I know that this is wrong. No teacher, preacher, parent, friend, or wise man can decide what's right for you. Just listen to the voice that speaks inside. So think about that. What is it talking about? The voice that speaks inside. What in the world does that mean? And it's saying no teacher, preacher, parent, or friend, or wise man can decide. What are they talking about? So I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but they're talking about your conscience. So when you are doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, say your mom tells you, you need to go clean your room. You walk in your room, you get distracted and you start playing with your toys. You know you're not supposed to be creating more of a mess, but you are. For a lot of people, there is a little voice that tells them, "Oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be cleaning my room like my mom told me to." Or when your mom says, "Okay, you've already had one cookie, you cannot have any more. That is it. It's almost time for bed. You're going to have upset tummy." Okay. So she tells you not to go get more cookies. But guess what you do? You go get more cookies. So in your brain, you feel like you're like, "Oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm sneaking it anyway." That is called a conscience. It is telling you what is right and what is wrong. And a lot of us, we are born with a conscience, and your parents teach you what is right and what is wrong. So that is what this poem is talking about. It is talking about the voice in your head, the voice that you feel, and it's called your conscience. So that's what a lot of people call it, a conscience. So what in the world could this poem, what could be the theme? It wants us to know what's right for you. Just listen to the voice that speaks inside. It's telling you nobody can tell you what's right and wrong. Nobody can tell you what to do or what decision to make. It's all up to you, right? All up to you. You make those decisions. So, what could be the theme? What does it want us to learn? Okay, so I think now sometimes poems, well, a lot of the time, poems and books, they can have different themes. So you might not have the same theme as me, and that's okay. But if I had to choose, I would say this poem is Do the Right Thing. The whole time it's telling you people can't decide for you. They can't tell you what to do. You have to choose what's right for you. So I'm going to say my clue number one is because it is telling me to listen to the voice inside. Nobody can tell me what is right for me. It also told me that there is a voice that tells me right from wrong. And also to listen to my voice inside. Nobody can tell me right or wrong. There is a voice that tells me right or wrong. It also tells me I'm going to say listen to the voice to decide what is right. It tells me that right here in this poem. So how I determine the theme in a poem is I read the poem and I figured out what in the world it's talking about. Once I can figure out what in the world it's talking about, then I can figure out what the theme is. So I want to take a look at this passage that you did just yesterday, or no, not yesterday, Monday. It was called Transportation. And a lot of you were like, "Oh my gosh, this is weird. There's only like one word lines." And it did ask you for the poem's basic theme. So I just want to review this real quick with you so that we can see if you got it right. First, let's read the poem. The poem is titled Transportation. And in this poem, it was real important that you read the title. Feet. Horses, wheels. Horses with wheels. Wheels and feet. Wheels without horses. Wheels with steam on a pair of tracks. Wheels with motors. Lots and lots of wheels with motors. Wings. Wings with motors. Jet motors with wings. Wheels with motors with robots. Robots with wings. So you were probably thinking, this makes no sense. I have no clue what Miss Simpson wants me to learn from this. This is crazy. Think about it for just 1 second. In order to figure out the basic theme, you have to know what the poem is telling you. The title of the poem is Transportation. So think, feet. Can you walk with your feet? Can it get you from this side of the classroom to the other side of the classroom? Yeah. What about a horse? Can it transport you somewhere else, maybe from one town to the other? Sure. What about wheels? Then horses with wheels. Have you ever seen like a covered wagon? Ooh. So maybe we have a covered wagon or something that is being pulled with wheels, with horses, wheels and feet. What requires you to move your feet and make the wheels go? A bicycle. Wheels without horses. So there's no wheel, there's a horse. Wheels without horses. That could be just about anything. Wheels without horses. Maybe that's a bicycle too. But this is the one that really got me. Wheels with steam on a pair of tracks. That's a train. Wheels with motors. That's a car. Lots and lots of wheels with motors. Wings. Wings with motors. Jet motors with wings. So these are all talking about some kind of airplanes, right? Wheels with motors with robots. No clue. Maybe wheels with motors with robots. Robots with wings. So notice it started off with the very first way that we transported ourselves. We just started off walking. Then we rode a horse. Then they invented wheels. And then they had the horse pull the covered wagon. And then we had bicycles. And then we had whatever that was, and a train and a car and an airplane. So this was telling me how transportation has changed over time. So if you were able to understand what was going on in this poem, you should have been able to figure out the theme. Sometimes you just have to take a minute and decipher or figure out what it's talking about. So this should have been: the history of transportation is interesting and ever changing, because it talks about all the way from the beginning and all the way to the end how transportation has changed. Not that the best transportation involves wheels, or that transportation has not changed very much. Well, it has changed a lot. And how humans cannot thrive without quality transportation. That doesn't matter. We were walking and we still did fine. We still survived, right? It is talking about the history of transportation. So if you got that and you understood what this poem was talking about, kudos to you, because that was a hard one. Okay, so I wanted to go over that because that was a really hard one, and just to make sure that you understood what transportation and what this poem was talking about. Okay, so now that you kind of know theme, we kind of went over the poem you just did. Right down below, there's a fun game that you're going to play, and you're going to review the elements of poetry, figurative language, theme, all the things we've talked about in poetry. You're going to review right down below. So go ahead, click the link. It's going to ask you to type your name in, and click play, and it should let you play the quizzes game. All right, I love y'all so much. And there is like 14 or so questions, I think. So you do have to do every single one of them. And I can track your progress. Once you click play, it puts you into my classroom and I can see your progress. So make sure you complete all 14 of them. All right, I love y'all so much. Have a great day.